This is Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, the viewer's guide to genre television for the weeks of August 17th to September 12th, 2025.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Wendy Hembrock.
I'm Brent Barrett.
And I'm Kevin Batchelder.
And we are happy to be back after a little bit of a break, but we're pleased to be back. If you haven't been checking out our Discord, we'll give you an update on a recent poll that closed that was related to the Tuner Minute. We talked about the ideal number of episodes in a season of a show, and the winner turned out to be 10 to 12 episodes. But we had some folks coming in closely below that, 8 to 10, and above, 12 to 14. We had some other folks who wanted 6 to 8, which was kind of surprising. That seems a little bit low. And there are some folks who are still pining for the almost 20, 16 to 18 episodes a season days, which I think are long gone.
I think that's a statistical outlier. That 22 plus is just one vote, but it's cool how the graph on the results, it's like a bar graph. It's like a bar graph on its side, and it kind of makes a little curve, a nice little curve on either side of 10 to 12. So it's pretty cool distribution.
Yeah, the fact that things, for the most part, are very much smushed, shall we say, there in the 8 to 14 just kind of shows, where the overwhelming majority of the votes are.
Yep, the old bell curve. So hopefully folks have been swinging by our Discord in the break since our last show. And if not, please go over and sign up. There's always some interesting conversation going on over there. And now we're going to get things started in the water cooler.
Has been around since the late 1800s, and the first multi-reel motion picture debuted in 1906. Since that time, millions of movies have been made, and unfortunately, just as many have been lost. Many of the surviving early films are in what's called the public domain, meaning their copyrights have expired due to time, neglect, and on a rare occasion, error. On Orphaned Entertainment, Christopher and Lydia review and discuss these public domain works to do their small part in bringing awareness to these nearly forgotten films. Join them as they discover the foundations of modern cinema. Visit orphanedentertainment.com to learn more, or find the show wherever you listen to podcasts.
First up are the quick reviews for the shows we suggest you watch now, watch soon, let sit, or skip. And we're covering nearly a month of shows from August 16th to September 14th. We're going to start off with Alien Earth. We had episode 3 of season 1, Metamorphosis, episode 4, Observation, episode 5, In Space, No One, and episode 6, The Fly. I have not seen this yet.
Oh, I have different ratings for each of these. I'm going to say the episode 3 was a watch it now. Really enjoyed it. Episode 4 was a little bit slower. I'd say watch it soon. But then the last 2 were high-end watch it soons.
Yeah, my ratings vary on the first couple because I think I was not sure what I was expecting from the show. So I had for the first 2 of these, I had them just low to mid watch it soons. But then the last 2, I think I finally clicked with what the show is because I gave those both high watch it soons.
All right. I am looking forward to watching this. Next up, we have Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 3, Episode 7, What is Starfleet? Episode 8, 4.5 Vulcans, Episode 9, Terrarium, and Episode 10, the season finale, New Life and New Civilizations. I haven't caught up to everything, but What is Starfleet? I'd give a low watch it soon, and 4.5 Vulcans, I'd give a high watch it soon, and I haven't seen the last 2.
All right, well, I'm going to be the curmudgeon here. For What is Starfleet, I'm going to give it a skip. Don't even watch it. For 4.5 Vulcans, I'll say let it sit and watch it, but you don't need to hurry. Then for Terrarium, I'm going to say a low watch it now. I really enjoyed that one. If you like the movie Enemy Mine, you'll love it. And episode 10, the finale, I'm going to give a high watch it soon.
Interesting. All right. Well, I will go in order for these very, very low. Let it sit. Watch it soon. High watch it soon, and then a very high watch it soon.
Ah, interesting. Next up, we have Foundation Season 3, Episode 7, Foundation's End, Episode 8, Skin in the Game, Episode 9, The Paths That Choose Us, and Episode 10, the season finale, The Darkness. I'm going to rate them all as high watch it soon to low watch it now.
I'm going to rate them all as I haven't seen them.
Yeah, I'd give the first 3 out of those 4 high watch it soons, and then I would go watch it now for the finale.
All right. Next, we have Upload coming back to finish. We had Season 4 with 4 episodes. The first one was Wedding Weekend. The second was Workload. Episode 3, Spa Day. And the series finale, Episode 4, Mile End. I watched all these together, and I would give it a watch it soon.
Oh, well, at least it's a watch it soon. I haven't caught up to Upload yet, so I wasn't able to watch these.
I'm sure we're going to talk about it back porch, but I was very underwhelmed. I'd say it's a very low watch it soon for me.
Yeah, I almost made it a low watch it soon. That was the slight question in my tone with my rating. Next up, we have Peacemaker coming back for Season 2. Episode 1, The Ties That Grind. Episode 2, A Man Is Only As Good As His Bird. Episode 3, Another Rick Up My Sleeve. And Episode 4, Need I Say Door. I have not seen these yet.
I have seen these, and I was trying to figure out individual ratings for them, and then I realized I'm going to rate all of them as a high watch it soon. It's pretty good.
Huh. See, this isn't working for me here in Season 2. This is just feels to me like long, drawn-out setup, so I just kind of go low watch it soons for them.
Okay. And last, we have Wednesday coming back for the second half of Season 2. Episode 5, Hide and Woe Seek. Episode 6, Woe Thyself. Episode 7, Woe Me the Money. Episode 8, which is the season finale, This Means Woe. I would rate all these together as a high watch it soon.
All right, I'm going to give them individual ratings, unlike what I did for Peacemaker. I'm going to give the first of the second half a high watch it soon. Then I'm going to go low watch it now for the body swap episode. I'm going to give a high watch it soon for the next one, and then a watch it now for the finale. I love this show.
Well, this is cool. We'll get some interesting looks on this. I like the first half better than the second half, but I still liked the second half. Like you, the body swap was outstanding. The other episodes I just give very solid watch it soons.
All right. Well, we're going to have lots to talk about in the back porch. But first we have some listener feedback and news to cover. And first up, we got a voice message from Scott on Cape Cod about the Sweet Spot Tuner Minute.
After listening to Wendy's Tuner Minute about the number of episodes per season of any particular show, I realized that I really missed the days of 20 or 22 episodes per year, because then the break between seasons was just a couple of months, and you had a long season of enjoyment while you watched all those episodes. I guess I'm not critical enough to dislike some episodes of a show where I like the characters, and I like them enough to put up with a few less than stellar episodes per year. So 6 or 8 episodes and then a 2-year break is not ideal as far as I'm concerned. If we're not going to get the old model of 22 episodes per year, then I guess my sweet spot would be at least 13 per season with a shorter break between seasons.
Hey, thank you, Scott. I guess you are close to that one outlier. Maybe you were that outlier we talked about on our poll at 1 to 22 plus in a season. It's the time between that I think is more the killer for me than the number of eps if they're smaller. So I think a lot of us are very much in a similar spot where we just don't want to have these big breaks between seasons. But, that spot around 12 to 14 episodes seems like a lot of folks are comfortable in there. And if you don't go 18 months plus between them, I think we're okay. Otherwise, yeah, your point about 22, those were the days, right? When we had the May to September with no new episodes, no new shows, and then we got to have, months and months of newer episodes for the most part. But I'm afraid those days are gone.
Well, you never say never about that stuff. Thank you, Scott, for your feedback. I totally agree about enjoying the good old days where the season would end and then you'd immediately go into reruns so you could remember everything that happened heading back into the next season. I think that's part of the problem if you do have a show that only has 6 or 8 episodes and you're going a whole year in between. For me, I'll have to do a rewatch to kind of refresh myself, but that's not as much to savor sort of the way that we could savor episodes in the old days when there was, at least 13 and up to 22. Thanks again for your feedback.
Yeah, I don't think it matters at all how many episodes. We all agree 2 years between seasons is too long. As Kevin said too, even 18 months is too long. 1 year is about the max for me, or whatever 1 year minus the length of the season is the max for me. I'm all for what ideal for me is not 22 episodes. I can't agree with you guys on that. I just don't want to go back to that. I would love 8 to 12 per season, less than a year between seasons. In other words, however long it took to air those 8 to 12 or a year minus that. And then more shows in sequence. You got an 8 to 12 of this show, and then another show comes out with another 8 to 12, and then another show. So you're constantly watching. That's what I want.
Yeah, kind of like what we were getting with Disney for a while when they were bringing us 3 or 4 different Marvel shows in a year.
Yeah, they'd flip-flop Marvel, then Star Wars, then Marvel, then Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, if they went back to that, even 3 a year, I think would be keeping a good pace. We also got a voicemail from Doug in Middletown, New York, about how do we keep up with all the shows we watch.
Hi, Kevin, Brent, and Wendy. This is Doug, calling from Middletown, New York. I'm the gentleman that offered the Stargate DVDs, and I'm so happy that I could go send them out to our winner and be enjoyed. I've been listening for a long time, and you guys do a great job. I really like that you respect each other's opinions and you don't interrupt each other. I know that you may have addressed this before on previous podcast episode, but I was wondering, how are you able to keep up with all the content with your busy schedules? Do you have a certain routine to keep everything organized? I tried to do that with a TV tracker app, and I find it very overwhelming, so I was wondering if you would share individually how you manage to keep up with all the content there is to cover. Thanks again, and keep up the great work.
Doug, thank you so much for being such a generous donor, giving the Stargate DVDs out to our listeners. We really, really appreciate that. So thank you very much for that, first of all. Well, if you've listened to the show a lot, you'll know that I don't keep up with everything, especially if you heard the quick reviews earlier. My excuse is I was traveling a lot, and then other things came up. So I generally prioritize the things that I need to stay current with based on what Kevin, Brent, and I are all the most excited about and love the most. So Wednesday was definitely my first priority when I got back from Italy to make sure that I watched. And then Star Trek, I kind of forgot about, to be honest, Strange New Worlds. The other show that I prioritized because I love it so much, even though Brent isn't watching it, is Foundation. So for me, I don't have anything. I don't have an app. I don't keep lists. I just look at sort of what are the shows that we're going to be talking about for the podcast. And then I prioritize based on the ones I think that we all want to talk about the most. I do have a list of shows that I haven't watched yet. That's sort of my backlog list. That's just a Word document. And it's really just to remind myself of things if I'm looking around for something. But I'm going to hand it to Kevin, who I think probably has a little bit more structure around his plan.
Kevin, structure? No nonsense. Of course he does. Doug, thank you very much for the discs and for the questions. I wanted to answer, you mentioned one thing before you asked the big question. I just wanted to chime in on that was we don't interrupt each other. We try not to, at least. And I think it's because all three of us, when we sat down to craft the structure of the show, we all didn't like the format where everybody just kind of yelled at each other or interrupted each other. So, we set this whole host order thing and we stick to it and we respect it. If it's Wendy's turn, she talks. When she's done, I talk. When I'm done, Kevin talks, It's just the way we do it. And we really appreciate that you noticed that. The question about how we keep up with things, it's changed. Back when we started this podcast, we had the broadcast networks and maybe Netflix to keep up with, and it was super easy. There weren't as many shows. I would, record everything and then just sit down either nightly or at least a couple nights before we recorded and make sure I go through everything. Very easy to keep up. Now it's just so different. So many streaming services. When you talked about Foundation, how I don't watch it because I don't have Apple TV Plus, because I don't have all the streamers, so I can't watch every show. And also, it's my way of doing it has changed a little bit because I used to have a physical DVR, and I would sit down and I could see what I had recorded from every source. Now I have to go to the different streamers and watch the things I'm supposed to watch. So I often find myself using our list of shows that we need to quick review as a way for me to go, oh yeah, I need to go watch that. I need to go watch that. And sometimes I'll cram the day before we record to try to get stuff in. If it's a show that I can physically watch, or a show that I'm interested in at all. So it has changed through the years, but I really appreciate the question. And thanks again for the discs.
Yeah. Just to round out that Doug appreciation, again, it's the one got a chance to interact with Doug quite a bit through Discord. It was great having him offer that and working out the details and getting it all set up. So big thumbs up there, Doug. Thank you again. And as I've mentioned many times, I am the guy with multiple apps that I use to track. I do have a TV show tracker like some folks are very familiar with that are out there, but that's mainly just so I know what I've seen, and I know the names of episodes and stuff, which helps us sometimes here in setting up our show notes document. But I use a basic to-do app, like there are many out there nowadays, web-based or, apps on your phone, because, I have so many shows that I either want to watch, I am watching, or I want to plan to watch or do a rewatch that I do. I spend a good amount of time looking at what's coming up. Is this a heavy week with, multiple shows we're all watching? As Wendy said, the ones that are, we've got at least, if we've got three of us or at least two of us that are watching, those will be a higher priority than the ones that maybe I'm the only one watching, because we'll know it's more fun to have the conversation around. But yeah, that's how I have to space it out. So I chunk things down into small bits. So I know literally every day when I open up my to-do app that's used only for TV stuff to go, oh yeah, that's all right. I want to watch this one today. So I want to carve out, if I can, the 45 minutes or so to be able to do it. Because with all, as Brent said, with all the possible shows and all the possible places to find them, it would just get overwhelming and I'd miss stuff, or, I don't have enough hours in the day between other commitments. So if I break it down, that's how I'm able to keep as many shows active on my list. Or, and as Brent said too, the other thing that I found myself doing from great conversations with folks like Brent and Wendy and you folks, a lot of our listeners, is I was always someone that would only watch a show when I had, 45 minutes to sit down in front of my nice big TV to do it. But those days are gone if I want to keep up with this many shows. So, I watch in chunks, maybe only a half at a time. Maybe I'm watching some while I have my breakfast, and I pick it up when I have lunch, and then I grab it when it's making dinner or something. So I've gotten a lot more flexible in when I'm watching to be able to keep up with as much as I am.
Yeah, great question, Doug. The other thing that I use to make sure that I'm staying on top of things is the tuner calendar that Kevin maintains. I also find that very helpful to look at sort of what's coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, Kevin's organized and we're not.
Exactly.
Kevin would be lost without that. That applies to most of the things Kevin does in life. I love a to-do app. Otherwise, my brain doesn't keep things in there for more than a few minutes.
And we appreciate your attention to all of this, Kevin. it helps not only you, but many of us. So we appreciate that. And I would love if other listeners would share their tips and tricks for how they keep up with everything that they're trying to watch as well. So thank you again, Doug. And we talked a little bit earlier about that Sweet Spot Tuner Minute. We also have a voicemail from Jesse Jackson in Dallas, Texas about that Tuner Minute.
I think in a perfect world, I'd want the Doctor Who model, the old Doctor Who model. 13 episodes, a special Christmas special. That's redundant, special. But 13 episodes, a one episode for kind of a movie or something that advances whatever's going, and it happens once a year. If we can't get that, I kind of agree with you guys, 10 to 12, but it comes every year. I am tired of the same thing you guys are of this being 2-3 years between seasons, and I realize a lot of that to do, as you guys talked about, strikes and COVID and all this other stuff. But it's frustrating. You know, one of the things we love, at least I did growing up, is it's past Labor Day, it's fall TV, all our shows are returning, and we knew that we've got new shows, and we're going to have November Sweet, and we're going to take a break around Christmas, and then in January we're going to start up again. So I just wish there was some consistency, whether it's 6, 12, 18, hell, 24, but just let's have some consistency.
Consistency is the key word, Jesse. That's a great point. Yes. Even though I don't want to go back to 22 season or episode seasons, I could stand it if it was just consistent. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. Consistency. We just lost it. I mean, even before COVID, I think we had a strike or two back then that kind of set things back a little bit for a lot of our shows, and then COVID, and then strike, and then strike. And it's just, I don't think it hasn't recovered, and I'm not quite sure the industry wants to recover. I'm not quite sure they want to go back to what it was before, where we had regular releases. But man, I just consistency. If they can just give us consistency, then yeah, I don't really care how many episodes. I have a preference, but I'll take anything. Just give me consistency.
Jesse, I love your point about the Doctor Who seasons and getting the holiday special, whether it was Christmas or even we did New Year's one year or two or whatever. But that idea that, yeah, we had the point in the year where we had the bunch of episodes, and then you also got a special in there. Not that any other shows did that much, but that idea of not making us wait then the full, 10 plus months between getting some content from a show, that's an interesting idea. I don't know if they'd do some release things there. I mean, I know Netflix is started to do at least for their really big shows, breaking up like Wednesday did a month apart, or Stranger Things is going to be a month apart on some stuff, and some other shows they've done that. I mean, that's at least for the services that drop all of a season's episode at once, being at least a couple of release points. So you got a little time in between, take a breath, make sure you're not feeling left out and can watch enough. And for folks like us who like to talk about it, having some time between these things is good too. So as you said, that idea of making it on something we can all kind of look at and know what it's going to be, rather than, hey, is this 6 episodes? Is this 16? Is this 2 years apart? Is it 2 weeks apart? That's what drives us, as Brent pointed out, nuts sometimes.
Hey, thanks, Jesse. I think you raised a really good point also about the actual timing of when things are released, because they either coincided with fall, back to school. You talked about the Doctor Who holiday specials. That's also a specific season. The seasonality, I think, is, as you mentioned, consistent. It's predictable. I think that gives people a comfort level. So even if maybe your show has only 6 or 8 episodes and another has 13, at least it's January. This is when it comes back, even if it's only 8 or 10 episodes, and you're going to go just a year. I think we all agree that a year is the longest we want to go between seasons. So thanks again. That was great to hear from you. So let's move on now to some news. And first up, Kevin's got some news about Fallout.
I do, and it's some really good news. We've got both a teaser trailer, link in the show notes if you haven't seen it yet, folks, and the announcement of the date of when Season 2 is coming. The date, if you haven't heard, is going to be just about a week before Christmas. It'll be December the 17th, which was nice to see, only a couple of months away now at this point. And also the teaser trailer is a nice lengthy one. I mean, usually you see teaser trailer, and I'm excited if it might be over a minute. This one is 2.5. If that's a teaser trailer, I can't wait to see what the full trailer is going to be. But this trailer, does a good job. See some of our characters that are a big part of things. They show a little bit without it being a lot about what we're going to go to. Those of you that have played the game, I'm sure, have a much better idea of some of this stuff from myself and some other non-gamers. It's just cool to see some locations that their story is evolving and moving to. So this was really good stuff, and really looking forward to having this around the holidays.
Yeah, this was nice. As you mentioned, a teaser trailer is often 20 seconds of super vague, and this was definitely more than that. So I think it worked very effectively, and we don't have to wait too long for Season 2 to come.
Yeah, it's a little over a year and a half since the last episode of Season 1 aired, so we're not quite there yet to our wish of being under a year, but the teaser's great. It just reminded me of how wonderful this show was, and this is a show I'm not going to need a reminder because it's still playing in my head. I'm still enjoying that show so much. I'm not rewatching it, but I enjoyed it so much the first time, and then watching some other people react to it that I can remember what happened in that show. Can I still remember December 17th or whenever it's coming back? I hope so, but we'll see.
And I've got some news about a couple of renewals that I'm going to talk about. The Institute, which is on MGM Plus, has been renewed for Season 2. This is a show that's based on a novel by Stephen King. And Season 1 just finished up in August. It did well enough that it's got a Season 2 coming. So if folks have been able to watch that on MGM Plus, would love to hear thoughts about it, and excited that more is coming. And the other renewal, which I'm very excited about, is Foundation on Apple TV Plus has been renewed for Season 4. And I think we're going to talk about the Season 3 finale, which, based on what happened, I'm very, very relieved that we're going to get more story in Season 4.
Yeah, I don't have either of those streamers, so it's no surprise I haven't watched either of those shows, but I'm really happy for those who are.
Yeah, The Institute is one I haven't heard much on, very honestly, so I can't really comment much there. But Foundation, yeah, very excited. I mean, they kudos again to Wendy and Scott on Cape Cod and other members of our forum who were talking up that show when I fell off the watching schedule for that one, because I'm so glad I came back. Season 3 was a real banger, some great stuff in there. So it would have been absolutely horrendous if this is where they had left us. But I do think, again, being Apple TV, that they've got their plan, whether it's 4 or 5 seasons, I suspect, and they're going to write to it, because big stuff happening, but also still some dangling bits that we'll touch on in our conversation.
Oh, a lot of dangling bits. I was worried, though, because Paramount Television is going through a lot of changes, and they're the ones, Skydance, that's behind Foundation. So, glad to hear there's more coming in the pipeline. And next up, we've got some news about a show I think we're all eager to see again, and it's been a long time. Brent's got some news about The Witcher.
Yeah, unlike, I heard a lot of people were kind of upset with the end of Season 3, but I actually kind of enjoyed it. Season 4's official teaser and premiere date have come out. This is the first season of The Witcher with a new lead actor. It's going to return October 30th on Netflix. And the teaser shows most, if not all, of a cool fight sequence with a wraith. I thought it was an excellent demonstration that this guy can pull off playing Geralt, and I think he did a good job.
Yeah, I'm a little tepid, very honestly. I mean, big fan of The Witcher, especially the first couple of seasons. Season 3 I enjoyed, but not as much as the first 2. So the fact we're changing leads, Henry Cavill was fantastic, but there's some great mythos here. So this teaser is just, as you point out, it's part of a scene, which is fine, but it's not really a teaser. It's like a clip. So I hope they aren't just like some folks have expressed the concern because the premiere date's the end of October. They've given us barely 5-6 weeks notice. So it's almost like they're trying to slip it in there before Stranger Things comes back. And I hope they're not just trying to dump it on us. I mean, I do believe it was already announced, that we're going to get a season 5 and that's where it will end. So, but big fan of The Witcher. So I'll be there first day watching. Let's see what we get.
Well, Kevin, I'm similar to you where I thought a teaser would be a montage of stuff. And this did feel like, I'm going to say the opening scene, the opening segment, because it reminded me a lot of a prior season where we had Geralt fighting something in the woods. And then that was sort of the preamble to the episode, but it actually wasn't even very relevant to the plot. The new guy looks like Geralt, sounded like Geralt, so we'll see. I'm gonna watch it. I'm in. I'm committed. I will definitely give him a try in season 4. And something else folks might want to try, Kevin is going to talk about It. Welcome to Derry.
Yeah, for the horror fans in our audience. I mean, the three of us don't normally watch a lot of the horror stuff, but as you can imagine, when you've got Stephen King, and the fact the new movies, the pair of movies that they put out in recent years that made more than like $1 billion combined, you got to think they're going to do something on the TV side. So yes, HBO Max's It. Welcome to Derry, coming on October the 26th. So it is set in the It universe, for those who are familiar with the book or the TV miniseries or the movies. You know what's going on here with, our big bad, shall we say, Pennywise, the clown and all. So, I'm not sure if I'm going to be watching. Again, I'm not a huge horror fan. I was a huge Stephen King fan, read most of his books back in the 80s, and it was one of them. But I'm not sure if I want to go to a TV series on it. So I might kind of wait and see what folks are saying. Maybe I'll jump in on that one.
Yeah, I'm a Stephen King fan, but I'm definitely more for the supernatural, psychological stuff and not the horror stuff. I never read it. I've never seen any of the movies completely. So I think I'll be passing.
I'm right there with you too. Horror's not my jam, so great for people who want to see more It, but I haven't seen the movies. I don't really plan on watching this one.
So something that may be folks' jam, we've got a link in the show notes for the official trailer for Marvel's Zombies, which is coming from Marvel's animation arm of things. So follow the link and you'll see this trailer. And the show is actually going to premiere September 25th. So by the time you hear this show, potentially, or very shortly afterwards, it'll be out.
Hopefully not that soon. I shouldn't be that late in getting the episode out, but
No, I'm sorry.
But yeah, Marvel Zombies. I know I can hear you now. Wait a minute, Brent. You just said you don't like horror. Well, yeah, but I don't consider zombies and vampires and those things to be horror, in my opinion. Werewolves, I think of them as supernatural. They've been animated dead, so to me, it's supernatural. But I do like Marvel a lot, and I did. This trailer was interesting. When I first clicked on it to watch it, I thought to myself, "How can they do a series about Marvel Zombies? I don't get it." But it looks like they've got a plan. They've got zombified Marvel people and non-zombified Marvel people, and they're going to have a kind of a post-apocalyptic Marvel thing, and I'm there. I want to see what's going to happen because I've really enjoyed the anthology animated stuff they've been doing with Marvel, the What If series. So this is a spin-off from that. And I'm going to be there. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, not up my alley, but I will be curious to hear how it goes for folks like Brent who are going to give it a watch. Yeah,
I'm going to check it out because, as Brent mentioned, it is sort of in that what if end of the pool, which I definitely enjoyed. I also agree, Brent, I don't think of zombies as horror necessarily. It can be more in the supernatural thing. It just depends on how much they lean into the jump scares and the hard violence. That's kind of my problem with a lot of more horror stuff. So I'll definitely check at least one episode out for sure. And next up, we got some news about an actor that I love from Game of Thrones who's coming to the Lara Croft franchise that Brent is going to share.
Yeah, Sansa Stark herself, Sophie Turner, has been confirmed to play Lara Croft in an Amazon series coming up. This is going to be a live-action adaptation of the universe. She's going to be following in the footsteps of such notable actors as Angelina Jolie, who played Lara Croft in the movies. If you don't know the game, she's an English aristocrat, adventuring archaeologist. Depending upon which version of the story, she either had her parents died in mysterious circumstances and she inherited their money and she's trying to figure out why they died and all that stuff, or she's just an adventuring archaeologist. Depends on which way they go. But a lot of mayhem and excitement is sure to ensue. And, of course, must-haves for Lara Croft. You've probably seen people cosplaying as her. She's got to have the top, either a T-shirt or whatever, khaki shorts, boots, and 2 pistols, 1 on each hip. If she doesn't have that, it ain't Lara Croft. But production is going to begin January 19th of 2026. And, again, this is for Amazon Prime.
Yeah, this could definitely be fun. I mean, I've enjoyed the Lara Croft movies. Angelina Jolie, and then I'm blanking on the name of the other woman who played her. But, it's fun stuff usually, and that's, it's good, fun action stuff. So the fact it's coming in series form, it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays. Strong actress, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, love Sophie Turner. It's kind of weird to see her with her natural blonde hair instead of her red hair wig as Sansa. The other cool thing behind this is Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who is going to be the creator, writer, co-showrunner. Love her stuff. So I'm definitely eager to see what this is like. I'm thinking it's going to be very interesting. And I don't know who the other actor is that played Lara Croft in that more recent reboot. I didn't see it.
Alicia Vikander. Whoever she is. I don't recognize the name, but that's who played her in the 2018 movie.
Thank
I mean,
you.
I thought she was good, so.
Nice to see that this is continuing on. And Kevin's got some news about another franchise continuing on, coming to Amazon.
Yes, folks, we're talking Blade Runner, specifically one entitled Blade Runner 2099, coming to Amazon Prime. Now, this is going to be a limited series. No specifics on what they mean by limited, a single season, small set of episodes, we're not sure yet. But it's following up on the 2017 movie, the Blade Runner 2049. But they have announced that the plan is to have it premiere in 2026. So we will have to see what's going on there. Now, this, if you are someone who's been paying attention to it, a couple of big items too. Number one, we've got Michelle Yeoh here, so that's fantastic to see from a casting point of view. But this show was greenlit way back in the fall of 2022. But this was one that was definitely between the different Hollywood strikes that just kept pushing it out big time, and with some special effects work needed, post-production and all that. So they've been very patient with it. They were hoping for a late 2025 release, they said in the article, but they said now they've just confirmed it will end up being 2026. So, hey, do it right. Have Michelle Yeoh involved. Thumbs up for me.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you about that. This is very interesting. This isn't a series that I kind of had on my radar to be rebooted, but it makes total sense. And with Michelle Yeoh involved, definitely something I want to check out.
Yeah, I'm down for more Blade Runner. And yeah, as you guys both said, Michelle Yeoh just adds an extra bit of sprinkle of some spice on that makes it even more interesting. So yeah, looking forward to it.
And in the Ridley Scott universe, we have a link in the show notes to all of the Alien properties in the proper order. I shouldn't say that. I should say the chronological order. So starting with Alien versus Predator and finishing up with Alien Resurrection. If you want to check that out, great resource.
Yeah, I love seeing the fact that our alien Earth is kind of smack dab in the middle. right before the original Alien movies, but after those kind of chronological prequels that come ahead of it. So, yeah, it was really cool to see.
Yeah, I gave it a look over. Aliens, the rest of the stuff I've, kind of wandered in and out of without having much attachment to it. So, I mean, it's good to kind of see it for the way, as you said, the canon chronological approach to it. But that and the new TV series, really the ones I'm paying closest attention to.
Well, for me, who I haven't seen the TV series yet, this was helpful to place it relative to things, especially for me, the last Alien property that I saw was Prometheus. So this was helpful.
And that came before the series, right? So
it did, yep.
Yeah, cool.
So next up, we've got the results for the 2025 Emmy Awards, the sci-fi focused ones that Brent is going to give us an update.
Yeah, I'm not going to run down every single nomination, but we were nominated, the genre fans, our shows were nominated in a number of categories. We have shows like Black Mirror, The Penguin, we have Severance, The Last of Us, Andor. I think that covers all the shows that were genre shows that were nominated at all, but we got some winners too. Outstanding lead actress in a limited anthology series or movie. We got Kristen Milioti. I don't know how to pronounce her name, from The Penguin. She won. We've also got from outstanding supporting actor in a drama series, Tremel Tillman from Severance won. And also outstanding lead actress in a drama series, Britt Lauer from Severance won. So we got a couple of winners from Severance. And the show Andor won the category of outstanding writing for a drama series. So congratulations to all.
Yeah, I was personally most excited for the Severance folks because I think they were brilliant, and very much glad to see recognition there. And Andor as well. I understand it's good. It's good to see some genre stuff getting some props, as we all know. Not three of us, not big awards folks, but still, anytime we can get some genre actors, writers, creatives to get some recognition, it's a big thumbs up from me.
Yeah, just for instance, Andor to get nominated for that is really nice. And winning is always better, of course. Also wanted to give props to Paradise. Sterling K. Brown was nominated, who was one of the key actors in that. And I got to give a shout out to my girl Jean Smart for Hacks, even though that is not a genre show. It's a very, very funny show. It's very well acted. So, good roundup. Good roundup this year. And last, we want to talk about Kevin's big adventures at Dragon Con.
Yes, just wanted to give you folks a fairly quick update. Had a couple of online conversations, I think, with some of our listeners. But as folks know, this is Dragon Con is my thing for sure. This was my 21st Dragon Con. Had a great time, as I do. I get very involved, as many of you folks know, moderating panels, both with fan panels, but also guest panels nowadays and such. So it was a great time for me. We do the Dragon Con Newbies events every year. This year we had more than 700 people go out on our newbie tours. So that is exploding each year. And as the convention gets busier earlier, we're going to have to rethink maybe what time of day we're doing some of those. There's just so many folks out there now. But that was a great way to kick off the convention, as we always do on Thursdays. And then had several great fan panels that I was either a panelist or moderator on for shows like Severance and Arcane, The Librarians the Next Chapter, Wednesday, Winona Earp Vengeance. Great time at all of those. It was great. The Severance stuff, it was funny. There were two different Severance fan panels. I was a panelist on one in Kelly's American Sci-Fi Media Track. And that was a full room there. And then there was another Severance panel the next day on a slightly different topic, because as folks who watch Severance know, there's lots to cover. And Lindy Ray, many of you know from the Farscape podcast, was the moderator on that panel. And that was a full room. So lots of Severance coverage, good stuff there, really good conversations and great stuff to talk about. I had a great chance as the assistant track director for the Urban Fantasy track. I got to be backstage and helping out at the guest panels we had a couple of Buffy guests this year, Mark Blucas, who played Riley, and Emma Caulfield, who played Anya. Got to see them at a couple of panels and moderate one of their panels on Saturday afternoon. They were real troopers. Both of them had major flight delays coming in from different locales and, only got a couple of hours sleep, but they were still right there up, when we got on stage, interacting with the fans. They were great. There were also some of the main cast from The Magicians. I didn't get to moderate any of their panels, but I was at their panels helping out, as part of the track, and got to talk a little bit with them backstage, and they were just really great. Very, very down to earth, very conversational and all, some good folks to spend some time with, and they were a lot of fun in front of the crowds. And then also I got to moderate Arrowverse panel this year, which was fantastic. For those of you that know, I'm a big fan of Arrow, and especially the Felicity character, Emily Bett Rickards, and been waiting about 10 years to meet her, and she finally was at DragonCon after a couple of previous cancellations due to some timing of other work that she couldn't make it. But she was there this year, and she was on that panel, so I was very excited to meet her and to get to moderate a panel with her, which was awesome on Saturday afternoon. And we also had another half dozen people from the show. John Barrowman, Paul Blackthorne, David Ramsey, Brandon Routh, Colin Donnell. So I had a really big panel with them, and they were great. They really interacted with each other quite a bit, had some fun. We had a really fun aspect to close out that panel. As a moderator, real quick story, part of what we do at DragonCon, since about 90% of the questions come from the fans, there's folks in the audience at a couple of mics asking questions, but DragonCon also does a great job of allowing folks to submit questions via Discord, since they live stream the panels. You can get a membership to let you watch the panels if you're not all of them, but watch panels if you're not there, or if you're someone at the official DragonCon hotels, you could watch panels via a DragonCon channel in your room. So I'm always perusing the Discord channel to see some good questions, and someone asked what everybody's go-to karaoke song would be. So that was a fun one I saw in the Discord, but I thought that would be a fun one to finish the panel with. So by then they all were really having a good time. We were finishing out. But the cool thing there, when I asked them each what their go-to karaoke song was, is they each, not only did they name the song, but they each started to sing a little bit of it, which just made for a lot of fun, Some of them have got a pretty good voice, some don't, but hey, it's karaoke. As we all know, if we do it, it makes for some fun things. So there was some great chemistry on that one. So also great to see our listener Bonita there and other folks too. So great time. Can't wait. Next year is going to be the 40th DragonCon. So I know they got some plans for some big things happening. So can't wait to go back and maybe hope to see some other listeners there.
Wow, that sounds great. I was following the updates from Bonita and Kevin and Lindy and others, our friend Karen, who were all there, because I didn't get to go this year because I was in Italy, so I can't really complain. But I will definitely be there next year. Now, Kevin, you didn't mention going to David Boreanaz's panel for Bones. Did you happen to see him, or did he show up at any kind of an Angel Buffy panel?
No, he didn't do any of the Buffy panels. He did a Bones panel, and he also did like an interview, like a one-on-one interview with one of the other con official moderators. But his events, unfortunately, again, with being involved in as much as I am, were up against things where I was speaking or volunteering. So no, I didn't get to see any of his stuff, but I do plan to watch it on the DragonCon streaming membership that I got. But because I did hear some good things about the Bones panel.
Cool. Yeah, tons of fun. So glad you got to do all that. You do such a good job with moderating panels. So I'm glad you got to do some for the shows you like, especially, and you got your dream girl, Emily, finally. So sounds like a great time.
It was great going into Discord and seeing Kevin post some pictures too of the people he talked about just now, and seeing their smiling faces with him. Brightened my day for sure, especially seeing Emma Caulfield. I've always enjoyed her since Buffy. So excellent.
Yeah, and we'll have a link in the show notes to some of those photos. So let's finish up this very long water cooler with a tuner minute, which Kevin recorded, titled Maybe a Little Longer.
We have often talked in the past about how each of us tends to have a certain number of episodes or a time frame if we're watching a new show for how much we'll give it before maybe we give up if it's not for us. Certainly in the last few years, as we've gotten more and more content, I think it's a little easier for some of us, certainly, to give up quicker. But what if it's a situation where you have some people that you trust, friends or other folks in your circles that recommend a show and you go to watch it and it's not really clicking? Do you still give it that same few episodes before you might give up, or will you maybe wait a little longer because of the fact it came as a recommendation from someone you trust?
Oh, Kevin, this is an interesting question. It's very relevant for me and the show we were just talking about a minute ago, Severance, because I tried watching the first maybe 2.5 episodes and just wasn't hooking me in. And I dropped it. And, you know, it wasn't until this most recent season that enough people, including you, convinced me that I should go back and give it another try. And you all had told me, you know, make sure you at least watch till the 4th episode of season 1, which I did. And, you know, to be honest, I still wasn't in love with the show after episode 4, but I was definitely understanding why people were getting drawn into it by then. And then by the end of season 1, I was convinced to keep going. So, you know, the opinions of people who I trust and who, you know, their recommendations either are consistently line up with being things that I end up liking. You know, that track record definitely helps me out in cases where I have dropped something, but I definitely no longer follow the, like, give it 3 episodes rules or anything like that. You know, a show really needs to hook me from the pilot in general anymore.
It has changed for me too, Wendy. But I think what's changed for me is if it depends on the shows that are available when I first check it out. For a typical show, for one that hasn't, you know, gotten people I trust telling me to watch it or to stick it out or anything. If it's just a typical show and it drops 1 episode a week and the first episode just doesn't work for me, I might check out the second one. I usually do. And then I might go, no, not for me, and I'm not going to watch it anymore. But if they drop like an entire season, like 8 episodes or something, I'll watch quite a few. And if it's not clicking for me, I'll just like watch it in the background to get through it and see if it actually clicks at some point, before I decide whether or not I want to even bother maybe finishing that episode bunch that's dropped, or wait for the next season or whatever. But it is a little different if somebody, you know, people I trust, if you two or other tuners tell me, you know, that they really love something and it's worth it. It's a little slow, but it gets really good. Then I'll you know, I'll wait it out. I'll potentially put stuff on the background if it's not clicking with me in the beginning. But I'll stick with it if people I trust tell me. I won't abandon it necessarily. I guess if it's really not for me, if there's just nothing redeeming it, I'm not clicking with any characters or anything like that, even if people I trust tell me it's great, I might drop it, but I don't think that's happened in a while. I have not started shows for either lack of accessibility, for instance, Apple TV Plus, or it just doesn't look interesting to me. I've done that, or I haven't started a show to begin with. But if I'm starting it, usually, like I said, if it's week to week and it doesn't work in the beginning, I'll give it a second episode. If it is a bigger drop, I'll just watch it all in the background and get through it all.
Yeah, interesting as we talk about, you know, having the abundance of shows and all, you know, how you folks or maybe any of our listeners, I know for me that even with so many shows, I want to give a show a little bit of a chance. And I'm specifically, this tournament came to mind, and we'll talk a little more about it in the back porch, with School Spirits. It's a show I tried the first couple of episodes of season 1. It was okay. It didn't really grab me, so I stopped watching. And then folks like, you know, my co-hosts here and others in social circles and on Discord were like, no, this, you know, I think this is worth it. So I gave it a shot and came back. And I got up to about episode 5 of season 1, episode 6, and it's like, it's not really grabbing me a lot, but hey, people I trust think it's worth it. And it definitely turned a corner a bit for me towards the end of season 1. So I, again, if it was just me, I probably wouldn't have stuck. But the fact I had some folks who I trusted made me at least stick to it until it got to a point where something happened. So that's why it's always interesting whether it's just you on an island, so to speak, making a decision, or there's others influencing you.
Yep, I hear you on that. And we'd love to hear your feedback, too, if you have any about this Tuner Minute or anything we've been talking about in the water cooler, or when we head on over next to the back porch.
Today we talk about Alien Earth, School Spirits, Wednesday, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Foundation, and Upload.
So let's get into it. And first we have Brent talking about Alien Earth.
Yeah, we got, like I said, we said in the quick reviews, 4 episodes, starting with episode 3. The first 2 episodes dropped, and we talked about those on the last podcast. And I was really intrigued by the show. I kind of latched on to, especially our lead character, Wendy. And then in episode 3, I honestly don't know why Kevin gave it a lower rating than the other ones, because we got a battle, man, between a hybrid and a xenomorph, and the hybrid won, kind of, because she ends up collapsing and having to go undergo treatment because of. But she beat him. She killed the xenomorph, which is just amazing. I like a reference call back to that later on. I think it was maybe in episode 6, the most recent one, where the brother was concerned, and they pointed out to him, hey, she defeated a xenomorph by herself. She's okay. She can handle herself. But I loved episode 3, and 4 was a little bit of a slowdown, especially when we get some of the psychological effects on the hybrids. One of the girls just freaking out, totally freaking out, has these fantasies that she's pregnant, all sorts of weird things happening. So they wipe her memory. And I don't know about you, Kevin, but that one kind of bugs me a little bit, because they should have known that the other kids were going to ask, or the other hybrids were going to ask her about things at some point that she couldn't remember anymore. So I saw one reaction, a team of doing a reaction to it that had a brilliant way to handle that. They should have just told her after the fact. They should have said, there were some glitches. We had to wipe a little bit of your memory, but you're going to be fine. And then she wouldn't have freaked out. I don't think she's going to freak out yet. We haven't seen that, but it wouldn't have been a big deal. She would have just said, "Oh no, I don't remember that because they had to take that out of my memory because of some things going on or something." They could have just explained it away. They could have helped anticipate that, but we don't know what's going to happen because of that yet. I'm sure she's going to flip out again because I think she's just a little unstable for some reason. But episode 5 was that flashback, which was basically the Alien movie. Told again from a different perspective. It's not the same characters or the same ship, but I mean, it's on the ship, everybody coming out of cryo and you got the face huggers and all that stuff and the chest bursters. Basically everything that we saw in the first episode in little like flashes, they decided to go ahead and show us an entire episode to it. I'm not a big fan of that. It was a good episode. Don't get me wrong. I gave it a good rating. High and Watch It Soon, I think. But I was a little miffed that they only have 8 episodes or whatever this season. They took an entire episode to show us what they already showed us in flashbacks and we already knew the outcome of. And I didn't really appreciate that. I would have preferred it if it was in smaller flashback bits or maybe some exposition while they advanced the story. But they decided to take an entire episode to just show us something we already knew the outcome of. Like I said, it was brilliantly done. So I'm not objecting to that. I just wish it was not in the series taking up space. Speaking of space, but the most recent episode, The Fly, the aliens are breaking out. In one case, as a plan, by the cyborg agent who's gotten one of the hybrids to unfortunately essentially kill, the married doctor, the husband of the psychiatrist, by having the facehugger jump on him. So he's basically dead. But the other aliens have kind of broken out of the asylum, with the exception of the eye one that takes over a creature and is apparently highly intelligent. He's still trapped in his cell, munching on some lettuce. But the bugs have escaped, and I do believe we're going to expect that the xenomorph is going to escape at some point. But really cool scenes with Wendy, with the language, using the sound to try to talk to and soothe the xenomorph and communicate with it. And it's just kind of cool. I'm looking forward to where it's going to take us for the last couple of episodes. So I am enjoying the ride.
Yeah, I'm having a little bit of a hard time with it, not in a negative way, but in terms of like really attaching to some of the characters. The fact that so many, or almost all of them really, are the kids. You know, they're younger age, and it just, I don't know, it throws me off a little at some of them in terms of how little they know and understand what's going on. So it's a little odd to me. So it's not that I don't like it. It's not that it isn't brilliantly done visually. The concepts of what it's trying to do, I mean, it's gross as all get out, as you would expect, but well done that way. So that's why a couple of the earlier episodes, even though they had some fantastic stuff, as you pointed out, it just wasn't like grabbing me like, wow, this is awesome. I'm not sure. Now that we see a bit of the turn, you know, of letting one of our hybrids die and letting a couple of the creatures escape, like, ooh, okay, now this really gets interesting. So I think in the last couple of episodes, I'm a little more into it, if you will, rather than just a bit of a detached watching this brilliantly made show, because it is, let's face it, while there is some excellent, shall we say, action, there's a lot of talking and slow moving around. So you got to be okay with that pace of it. So that's part of it there, but it's only an 8-episode season. So only a couple more episodes this season. Now that we've kind of had a turn on things, and oh my goodness, these creatures could be loose. I'm very curious what's going to happen with Wendy, primarily, since she's what we're really seeing the show from, her vantage point. But also some great questions, because her brother's trying to say, hey, now we're going to take her home, and, the corporate types are like, yeah, that's not happening, dude. Okay. She's worth billions of dollars. Now we're going to have her doing all these kind of things. She's not really who she was to you now that she's in, a different body. So there's some fascinating aspects to it. But I found that when I'm watching the episodes now, I really do have to make sure I'm in a mindset of just kind of like, I almost want to say sit back, let it kind of wash over me a little bit, and pick on some of the cool things, right? Which not all shows am I watching that way.
Well, we talked about, not being able to watch some shows because we don't have the channels, and I don't have access to Alien Earth quite yet, but it's very high on my list to get there. So Kevin mentioned School Spirits earlier, and now he's going to talk about his season 1 watch.
Yeah, I just wanted to in a fairly brief, shall we say, discussion, talk a little bit about, as I said in the 200-minute discussion, and this was a show I came back to because of recommendations from people I trust. Even though it didn't click with me after I'd watched the first couple episodes when it was initially out a couple of years ago. So now that I was back from Dragon Con, number of shows I'm watching is, not as many as it might be later in the year. I'm like, oh, this is a good time. Let me see if I can jump in. So I did watch all of season 1. And, I was a little up and down for me. I enjoy the characters. It's an interesting premise. I wasn't a big fan for about 2/3 of this first season, where it seemed like every episode was like, oh, let's now find a new person that could have been her killer. It was just a little too cookie cutter that way. Like, oh, it's this person. Oh, no, it's not. Next episode. Oh, it's this one. No, it's not. And it was a little too automatic. The last couple of episodes really got me more interested once they really started throwing some new curveballs into us with the ghost teacher and this whole idea of someone jumping into her body and all. So I definitely think it's gotten more interesting to see where it might go. I'll definitely plan to watch season 2. So it's an interesting show that I'm glad I kind of came back to again, not because I thought I should, but because others told me I probably would enjoy it. So again, this is one of those thank you to the community situations.
Well, Kevin, you're welcome. And here's a reminder that Harley Quinn is really, really, really good.
It was between School Spirits and Harley, This show only has 16 episodes, so I said, let me knock this one out first.
There you go.
And it's live action.
Yeah, exactly. It's still a little higher. Yes.
Yeah. I'm glad you liked it. Similarly, it didn't turn into like must watch TV for me early on, but I got very hooked on the characters and intrigued on what was the various mysteries behind how the other ghosts got to be where they were and how that connected with who had killed her. And then the idea that you can take over someone's body. So I'm glad that you stuck with it and you found it was worth sticking with it. And I think the next season is even better. So hopefully you'll enjoy it as much.
Yeah, hopefully you can watch it. Kevin, I think you followed a trajectory on this one that a lot of people followed, including myself. Most of the first season, I was mildly interested, but not really interested. I mean, I could have given it up, but the last couple of episodes kind of hooked me. And I was like, oh, and made me want to have the next season come out. And when it came out, I was very excited and did enjoy it. So, looking forward to you watching season 2 someday.
Oh, yeah, I'll be jumping into it right away. Because very honestly, when I looked at it, again, if it was just me watching it on my own, like I say, around episode 5 or 6, season 1 would have been, okay, this is just a little too much teen angst and it's too cookie cutter. But I said, no, people said it's worth, I got to at least give it to the end of the season 1 before maybe questioning it. But yeah, it definitely took a very solid turn in this is much more interesting. So yeah, I definitely want to jump into season 2 and see where we go.
Excellent. Well, let's jump into the back half of season 2 of Wednesday now. And I don't want to kind of go through the plot, but I want to just give some shout outs. And first of all, the thing that I absolutely loved was the return of Principal Weems, cause I love, Gwendolyn from, Game of Thrones. Love that actor. I loved her character when she was alive in season 1. And the idea that she's going to be Wednesday's guide because she's like a 13th removed cousin, Adams, was awesome. And I thought her character, was very important to Wednesday finally getting over the hump with her powers. I liked how, her mother could see her. I just liked everything about how her character was used in the back half of the season. So I really liked that. I thought the story resolution overall was pretty good in terms of, I'll call him the Dr. Ozymandias, the brother, the Slurp character. The whole idea that, he was trying to save his sister and then, we had the guy that was running the outcast, I'll call it laboratory, who was trying to, take advantage of how bright he was. And it was great to see, the actor who played the talking head. I have to admit, every time I would see that head, I would think of Futurama. And I'm forgetting the actor's name.
Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd, thank you. It was sort of bittersweet vengeance, of course, that, he was trying to pervert his pupils' stuff and he ended up turning on him and literally eating his brain. And I liked the tie-in with Gomez being, the BFF of this guy, and even he turned on him. He tried to suck all of his power, which was also electricity, like Pugsley has. And he, quote, became a normal. I like that. I haven't loved the Siren storyline in general, but I liked how they solved the Siren problem at the end, where, grandma has been sirened, and she's going to give all her money away to Steve Buscemi, who is the true mastermind behind the cult. And I loved how we used our invisible stalker BFF to overhear everything that had happened, so that even though Wednesday's mind was wiped, the truth came out, and he got compelled to, tell the whole truth. And it was very well delivered when he sort of spills everything at the gala. I loved the gala being this masquerade, very Baroque kind of thing at the end. So overall, I liked all of that piece. I'm a little bit ready for Tyler to be done as our nemesis, I got to admit. So when he didn't get killed in this season, and, Billie Piper's character saves him because her father was a Hyde, and now she's going to try to, I don't know, help him not be his master. I'm vaguely intrigued by that, but I sort of want a resolution. And I don't really feel like Tyler is a redeemable character, so to me, he needs to eventually be put down. So assuming we're going to get a season 3, I'd really like to see him be kind of finished as one of the key nemesis in the story, unless they do something really interesting with Hydes in general. And lastly, I really like the body swap episode. Usually those are just a gimmick, but it actually was important to Wednesday resolving her block, because she had to basically, in order to undo the body swap, she had to come to grips with what was really going on emotionally with herself. I liked how Enid is evolving and, might end up being one of the most powerful creatures in the show. I had kind of forgotten that Lady Gaga was in the story, so that was an interesting cameo by her to play that the character that turned the body, made the body swap happen. I thought the acting in that was great, and like I said, I like that it actually was relevant to driving some character development. So overall, I thought it was really, really good. Enjoyed it a lot. Maybe I didn't rate it as high as I should have, but very, very happy with how things resolved in overall, and very hopeful for a season 3.
Yeah, looking forward to season 3 myself. Tyler is, I hope, like you, gone now that he's gone off to be with a pack. So I think maybe that storyline is finally ended. I hope. And go to something new, and maybe not the same formula again. If there's a murder mystery that has to be solved, maybe it'll be something else. That body swap episode was fantabulous. Absolutely loved it. I think Jenna Ortega and Emma Myers did an amazing job of embodying each other's character. So I heard some people actually critique Jenna Ortega as not doing a good enough job of doing Enid, but I think she did a wonderful job of doing Enid. Emma Myers did an absolutely amazing job as Wednesday's trapped in Enid's body. Enid's sacrifice was touching. I really felt that. That she, turned under a full moon to become stuck as an alpha to save Wednesday, her best friend. And maybe even more. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's more, a little more romantic stuff there, but who knows? But her sacrifice, and then Wednesday's loyalty to go after her. When Wednesday said, I'd love to hunt you, or whatever she said, I don't think it came out as cold, but I don't think she meant it that way. And I think we're seeing that. I think that she is truly friends. She considers Enid to be her best friend, and she's really going to go after her. And I think that's a great setup for the next season. Uncle Fester and Wednesday go a hunt, and Thing go a hunting. And of course, Thing's backstory too, mentioning Thing, finding out where he came from finally, and then having him pull away from the bad guy to be back with the Addams family who love him, even though they abuse him, as we saw in some previous, taken for granted from some previous, episodes from last season and even this one. The Invisible Girl, Agnes, wonderful addition. I loved her character evolution and where she ended up in the season. I thought that all along, I thought that she might turn bad and somehow like backstab them, but she did not. She accepted the abuse, and when she broke down, she accepted the advice and of Enid and became her own character, her own person. And I think that was great. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of her too. Wonderful, wonderful second season. Can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, I mean, excuse me, I greatly enjoyed it. I also wasn't a huge fan of Slurp. That kind of turned me off a bit, and I think I focused too much on not liking that. Turned to what that turned into without some of the other awesome stuff, as you both pointed out. The Tyler thing, I was very surprised they continued that another season. Maybe they got some big plans with Billy Piper as part of that. So I won't be negative on it, but yeah, I'd kind of hope that would be ended and we'll move on to other things. Because as you pointed out, the whole idea now of Enid and Wednesday being so committed to each other, the steps they're taking because of what happened is fantastic for where they're going to go. So I think I got really maybe overexcited after the first half, thinking there'd be a lot of that happening. And we had to, naturally, since it's not another season, Kev, it's the back half of a season, we had to address a good part of those things and let them play out. So I don't want to appear to sound negative, but I definitely enjoyed the first half a little more than the second. I think I need to do a full rewatch of all of it together, maybe to balance that out a bit, just for myself. But it was some very, very well done stuff. And as you both pointed to, the body swap that was brilliant. I was doing knee slaps on a lot of that, rewinding a scene or just to watch the delivery they were each doing as actors and making me totally comfortable to think that was real. So they really were brilliant in that aspect of it. But hey, yeah, very much excited to what season 3 is going to bring. I didn't put it as a news item, but I read that just about got a green light for like a Fester spinoff too. So they're going to, have a lot going on in this universe. I don't know what that might mean to Wednesday season 3, but I guess we'll have to wait to see. But, this was a really fun one for the summer.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know if I really want a Fester spinoff.
I was just about to say that.
I find him enjoyable when he appears, but I don't think I could stand a whole series with him as the main focus.
I'm not convinced either. That's why I didn't put it as a news item. It's not like it's been announced. I've read some articles that have said that, it's nearing a green light or something, so it's likely coming. But I'm like, really? Fester? Okay. Yeah. So, I what impact it has, I don't know.
A little Fester goes a long way. Maybe if it's only like 30-minute episodes or something. We shall see. So, moving on to another show we all really like, Brent is going to talk about Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Yes, Strange New Worlds has come to a conclusion. I think Wendy gave it a bit higher rating than Kevin and I did. Kevin got as low as he could because he never wants to say skip it to anything. But What is Starfleet just was a total flop for me. I didn't find that episode entertaining in the least. I didn't find it informative in the least. Thought it was a complete waste of an hour, waste of film. I wish they hadn't done it. Skipping that, let's go on to 4.5 Vulcans. I got annoyed a little bit in 4.5 Vulcans. It was fun. It was a funny episode, but I got annoyed because of the whole logic thing. The Vulcan logic is not genetic. They have to work hard for that. They all do, to suppress their emotions and to be logical and to train. But of course, if you just give them a genetic injection, suddenly they're super logical and even more logical than Spock. So that kind of made me a little irritated, but I still rolled with it a little bit and had fun with some of the stuff in there, especially the heart-to-heart at the end with La'an. That was good to convince her to finally give it up. Terrarium was the highlight for me of these last 4. I remember the old movie Enemy Mine. There have been Star Trek The Next Generation episodes that are very much similar to that. And I think there was an episode in DS9 that was similar to that too. But the whole idea of Ortega being trapped with their arch nemesis, the Gorn, at first I thought, how is this going to go? part of me wishes that the Gorn had not been killed, but another part of me realizes she almost had to be killed. And to have La'an do it is the only way that I think I could live with it, just kind of like Ortega can. Because as Ortega said at the end, the Gorn was her friend, but so was La'an, and I'm going to have to deal with that. I'm going to have to work that out. It looks like they worked it out because by the next episode, everything seemed to be fine between them. But I just really dug that episode, and I kind of am okay with the aliens coming in, and they're the same ones who are in Arena in Star Trek, the original series, when Kirk battles the Gorn, and nobody seems to know who the Gorn are at that point. And the Metron, and the Metron says, basically in the very end, kind of almost in a throwaway, he says, we may have to adjust your memory of the Gorn in the future or something like that, which kind of implies that at some point when the dust settles between these two, or the Metron's going to force the dust to settle between these two, and it's going to wipe each other's memory of them, so they won't know about each other. So it'll be a brand new experience when Kirk battles the Gorn in Arena. So I'm okay with that. Some people are like, oh, that's cheap. That's a horrible way to retcon canon. I don't think so. I'm fine with it. We know that the Metron have superhuman, supernatural, godlike powers from the original series, so it doesn't bother me. And I think it's a clever way for them to be able to explore things without having to destroy canon or step on canon. So I think it should be appreciated. New Life, New Civilizations. I think it was a little too rushed. I did enjoy the little bits where we got to see Battelle and Pike in their life with their daughter and all of that. I got to see, I enjoyed that. I think it went on a little too long. Wish it was a little shorter. I wish the battle between Battelle and the entity was a little longer, because it seemed to be like okay, I am a god now. I have destroyed you. You are trapped. I'm a statue. I mean, that was pretty much it. So it went a little too fast for me. I wish they had extended this one over a couple of episodes instead of rushing through it to get to the end. But it was good. It was good. I still give it a good rating. I enjoyed it. Man, I cannot wait. We got a couple more seasons of Strange New Worlds that have been promised to us. So I'm super excited. Hopefully the new seasons will be better in overall quality. There were several episodes this season that I did not like, that I thought were just like they were experimenting and not understanding what Star Trek was all about. But there were a few really good episodes where it was very much Star Trek. So a mixed bag, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think my views on this set of episodes as well as the season is very similar to yours, Brent. I applaud them for being willing to just try some crazy things, or some very different things. I didn't feel we needed as many of those trials as they did this season. I mean, we had the whole wedding thing with the Q type character. That, I know it was discussed on our forum, and I also had a similar thing that after the very first episode, which was just a fantastic start to the season, to put the wedding one right after that was, I don't think, a wise choice. I mean, you went from just gangbusters and action and everything on the edge of the seat to this fun little romp that was like, yeah, that's something you throw in a 22 episode season. And then the what is Starfleet, total skippable, even if Kevin can't come to say it. And some of the other ones, the holodeck, I know a lot of folks didn't love that one with the murder mystery, which was okay. So yeah, it was up and down a bit. And the Enemy Mine comparison, perfect for that episode. You know, it's a movie I remember very well. Lou Gossett Jr., fantastic. And they did a great job in this one. And yeah, I'm right there with you on the finale one. A little less time spent in their, I don't want to say imagination, but in their possible future together, which, hey, it's Melanie Scrofano. I love to see more of her on screen. But from the episode's point of view, a little less time on that and a little more on an actual battle between good and evil at the end would have been better. So yeah, it was a little, I don't know if I'd use the word rush, but it was a little anticlimactic. I'll put it that way. But, you know, still an excellent season, just not up in my mind, and apparently yours and some others, to the first two seasons. But we still got another full season for 4, and then 5 is like shorter. I don't remember how many episodes, but yeah, more time with these characters. Definitely can't wait for it.
So I haven't, as I mentioned in the quick reviews, I haven't seen the last 2 episodes, so I'm looking forward to those. With some trepidation also, because you said the last one was rushed. But the What is Starfleet one, I didn't call skip it. I put it like very low. And I had a reason, but I don't know why. I do agree, though, that, 3 out of 10 episodes being the kind of experimental end of the pool seems like a lot to me. I do appreciate the range of our cast and the creativity of our writers, but maybe 1 or 2 less of those next season. Maybe 1 experimental, musical, very special kind of episode is all we need, and especially because now we do know we're headed towards the finish line and we have a finite number remaining. I would like more that stick to Star Trek. But I'm very excited that we're getting more, and hopefully in just about a year. So let's move on to talking about Foundation, and Kevin's going to start us off.
I will, and we had a freight train moving at the end of this season, really, and I thought it was very well done. Obviously, we're building up to the big showdown with the Mule and Gale and all that's going on. But even more important, very much so, was what's going on with Demerzel and the whole idea of robots and communication between them and what that will mean to everything, since we had all of the empires in their own way going way off track for different reasons to kind of signal the end of what's going on there for their dynasty. So without going into plot points, I thought it was very well done. These were episodes, especially at this point of the season, that were very much, 1 minute, an episode ends and you're picking up 2 minutes later at the next one. Very well done in that sense of how we're going to come to be and what it's going to mean. The twist with the character that we thought was the Mule not being the Mule was interesting. That storyline is still left dangling. So we're going to have to see where they go next season with that. So that, we kind of had one of those, okay, we kind of won, but not really in terms of what that might mean for the sake of the Second Foundation and all. So that was kind of good to see. The Empire's different aspects of that, from, Dawn being just left out here, not having much to do at the end, to Day finally having his awakening to how important Demerzel is and how horrible he's been to her and all of the Cleons was good to watch. And then, Brother Dusk just going total off the deep end, nut job, kill everybody, made for some interesting things to see and what that's going to do for him. So I just, from a epic sci-fi story point of view, epic visuals in space, from, black hole weapons to all of the different aspects, time travel and all, it's excellent stuff. I'm so glad I came back on board. So glad we've got another season, because this is definitely one of those rare shows where not only do I enjoy the episode, but at least a couple of YouTube channels that go in and try to dissect what happened and what it means. And did you notice this? It makes for even richer episodes. So got to give them major props.
We've been talking since season 1 about the darkness coming, and we've had this build-up that it's the Mule that's the darkness, and it turns out that it's Dusk who turns himself into what he refers to as Brother Darkness. He black-holed his opposition, took out several planets, threatened the Mule to do the same, and destroyed the genetic dynasty, killed his brother. We still have the Dawn who was about to ascend into Day, presumably still alive, right? He's on that ship, I believe.
Yes.
We have, Dusk killing Day Dude, who ends up kind of at the last minute going on this whole redemption arc. He's the one who confesses to the folks on Mycogen about what they did to Demerzel. He brings back the other robot head, and it was so beautifully played with Demerzel. She has this very poignant reunion with him, and through the whole season, he's been so nasty and horrible to her. And then he comes back with basically the one thing that she always wanted, which was a connection to one other of her kind. And yet her programming, stops her from being able to, do the clasp with it. And because at the same time, Dusk is taking out the whole genetic dynasty vault of the clones. He forces Demerzel to sacrifice herself for that last baby, which I've read online. When I watched it, I was like, they killed her. I can't believe they killed her. It destroyed her completely. It was beautifully played by Lee Pace as he's trying to stop her and then reacting to what's happening. And then responding to his brother trying to harm him, which he can't because he has nanites. I read online that people are like, oh, her eye, the control chip from Cleon was in her back. That was destroyed before she was completely melted, and her eye had Morse code that said transferred or uploaded or something. So the theory is that Demerzel did connect, in addition to the head connecting to the folks on the moon, that, we might have a Demerzel in next season, which to me would be, it'd be very sad if that character is truly gone. Just a fantastic performance and character and storyline. I was confused by the whole reveal of the mule, mainly because I was spoiled from who the mule is in the books. But that's one of the reasons why I definitely am going to do a rewatch. Also because I thought they did a great job with the sort of transition of Dusk into Brother Darkness. Because at the beginning of the season, I would have not pegged him as the one that was going to take everything down. I would have thought it was either the youngest brother or, who I call Day Dude, to be the one to do it. I'm glad that we still have Gale. I'm sad for Harry in the second Foundation. I loved that the second Foundation is actually on Trantor. That was a really interesting reveal, and they set up so much stuff. They took out so many pieces. I just really enjoyed this season overall, and I'm really, really curious now where we're going to pick up. Like, is it going to be 10 years in the future, 100 years in the future? What are we going to see? I'm assuming it's not going to be too long after these events, as we get into the next season. And I'm curious where we are, meaning the galaxy that we've been in relative to Earth, if we're going to have a lot of Earth in it or what we're going to get.
Yeah, there's a lot of things dangling there, and But it's fascinating how they're going to tie it all together, which is where I got to feel like they've got a specific 4 or 5 season plan and they're writing to it, with Apple being the type to decide to know that. And then, as Brent always reminds us, they already have got those renewals in their pocket. They'll just announce them, the day before a new season starts or before the finale.
So.
But yeah, because it all does tie so well together on all this stuff. And I agree, the Demerzel character, especially if she now can come back in some way and not be programmed to have to protect, the dynasty, that could be fascinating too. So along with Callie, the other apparent robot overlord. So we shall see.
Yep. We shall. So let's move on now to talking about the series finale of Upload. I got to admit, I was kind of disappointed in this a little bit, mainly because it wasn't funny. I didn't find it funny at all. I'm glad that they resolved all the characters. And I'm glad that they, basically implied that Nathan is in, he was stored in the memory in the ring, and he's either going to get a clone body or Ingrid's going to go into the Upload world or whatever, but they'll be reunited. And it was sweet how other Nathan, and I'm forgetting, is her name, her name was not Ingrid, was it? I'm forgetting her name.
Who are you thinking of?
So the other Nathan's wife, the blonde.
Yeah, that's Ingrid.
Ingrid, yeah. I was happy for them. They're weird. But again, they're not that funny. And I was a little surprised. It seemed kind of cliche that they had the BFF sacrifice himself for the rogue AI, the evil AI. Again, I like that concept, but I didn't find it to be funny, which kind of to me was missing. I did like that when Nathan actually escaped, the Nathan with our main character, which again I'm forgetting his name tonight. Apologize. When he drove over the drive of Choke, that was really funny. So we know he's not coming back, but so I was satisfied with that they resolved everything, but again, I missed that it wasn't that funny.
Yeah, and it came out in multiple conversations, so I don't want to beat the dead horse, is that season 1 was very funny, along with these characters and their journey in this Upload world and the kookiness of everybody. Ingrid and Alicia became a really fun character as time went on, and our AI guy there, the bellman was funny. So, but then it just turned into a bit of a, let's see where they're, more of the drama of where they're going to go. So it's like the show couldn't decide or didn't have the spark from a comedy point of view, especially in the last couple of seasons. So yes, I was disappointed too. I was glad to see some closure on some of the characters, some interesting bits, but yeah, there was I barely cracked a smile from a comedy point of view of what was going on. So I'm not sure the show knew what it wanted to be, because season 1 was, I'm pretty sure Brent hasn't watched this, and whether it's Brent or probably many other folks, I might say, yeah, watch season 1. It's pretty funny. It's an interesting genre concept. Yeah, watch the other seasons if you absolutely fall in love with these characters, want to see what happens to them, but don't expect to laugh near as much as you will in season 1. It's like they had a idea, but not one that was going to be able to sustain some humor for, in this case, what was it, 3.5 seasons or whatever they ended up doing. So, yeah, some good bits to see some of the characters, but it was more, I want the closure of seeing what's going to happen, since I didn't really get a chance to laugh very much, even though you had some very funny people. We certainly saw that in season 1. The writing was there to be able to pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, even Alicia, the whole thing with her doing the sort of martial arts training and she's the spy and all that. You know, that was just grim work, and that could have been really funny, kooky, wacky kind of stuff. You know, that she would show up and be able to do all that crazy ninja stuff, for instance. It just seemed like maybe they were so focused on resolving the story and giving, you know, character resolution that they just forgot to put the jokes in.
Yeah, again, like I say, it's definitely season 1 worth a watch. The other seasons, like I say, if you fall in love with it, sure, then you can see the closure of all the characters.
Yeah, I would say maybe season 2, because I thought Alicia was very funny in season 2. But I could be misremembering. That might have been season 1.
Yeah, no, there was some decent stuff there, but yeah. It's not at that level I hit in season 1.
Yeah, and definitely not a show I'll rewatch.
Nope.
All right. Well, that was a jam-packed show. You know, we have been gone for a little bit of time due to our schedules, but we appreciate everyone for listening. Want to give a shout out. Thank you again to Doug for donating his Stargate DVDs. And wait, there's more from Doug in the future that we'll be talking about as well. I want to thank all of you all for listening and thank Kevin and Brent for a lot of fun talking about some of our favorite shows. We'll see you again soon.
Catch you next time.
Have a great week, everybody.
If you'd like to contact Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, we offer a variety of feedback options, including email at feedback@tuningintoscifitv.com, voicemail at 706-927-8478, Skype voicemail at Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, or you can visit our website at tuningintoscifitv.com and use the SpeakPipe app or our forums. And finally, you can find us on Twitter at twitter.com/tuningintosci-fi or on Facebook at facebook.com/tuningintosci-fi TV. The theme music for Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV is by Beatnik Turtle, used with permission. You've been listening to Tuning Into Sci-Fi TV, episode 678, recorded September 15th, 2025.